I had been a night auditor at a regional hospital for 6 years when I found the posting. Federal Overnight Monitoring Position, Yellowstone National Park, Lamar Valley Sector. The description was 3 sentences. Duties include conducting scheduled observations, maintaining communication protocols, and recording environmental data. Applicants must be comfortable working alone for extended periods in remote locations. Prior wilderness experience not required. I applied because the pay was nearly double what the hospital paid, and because the hospital had recently begun enforcing a policy that required all overnight staff to work alternating 12-hour shifts without overlap. I'd been alone in a building with 300 patients for 11 consecutive months. The wilderness sounded manageable by comparison. My supervisor's name was Hollowell, not a first name, just Hollowell. He met me at the Lamar Valley trailhead at 4 p.m. on a Thursday in late August. He was a large man, broad-shouldered with a weathered face and pale blue eyes that moved constantly. He watched the tree line while we shook hands. He watched it while he spoke. "We are going to walk to the station," he said. "About 2 miles. Stay on the marked trail. Do not stop for any reason. If I stop, you stop. If I tell you to be still, be still. If I move off the trail, follow me exactly. Step where I step." I asked if there was a vehicle route. "There is," he said. "We do not use it after 3 p.m. We walked the 2 miles in about 40 minutes. The station was a converted forestry cabin set back 20 feet from the tree line on the north side of the valley. Old construction, maybe 1950s. Wood siding painted dark brown that had gone nearly black with weather and time. A metal storage shed was attached to the east wall. There was a hand pump well 15 feet from the south door, which was the only door. Hollowell unlocked it with 2 separate keys on 2 separate keychains, and we went inside. The interior was 1 room, a wooden table with 2 chairs, a set of bookshelves holding binders, maps, and 2 handheld radios on charging bases, a wood-burning stove in the northwest corner, a narrow cot against the east wall, a heavy curtain dividing the back third of the room. The curtain was dark green and it was drawn closed. "What is behind the curtain?" I said. He ignored the question. He went to the bookshelf and removed a binder, black with no label. He set it on the table and opened it to the first page. "These are the protocols for overnight watch," he said. "Sit down and read them. I'm going to check the stores while you do." The first page inside the binder had a header that read, "Lamar Valley Sector, Night Watch Protocols, Current Revision." Below the header, a handwritten note in red ink said, "These rules are not for visitors. They are for you." I read the protocols. Rule 1. Your shift begins at 7 p.m. and ends at 7 a.m. You will not leave the building between 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. This is not a guideline. The 2 exceptions are a fire inside the building and a direct instruction from Hollowell via radio. If you were given a direct instruction via radio to exit the building between 11 p.m. and 5 a.m., ask for the confirmation word before you move. If the voice on the radio cannot give the confirmation word, do not leave. Rule 2. Conduct an exterior observation at 7:30 p.m., 9 p.m., and 10:30 p.m. Stand in the doorway. Do not step outside. Use the spotting scope to observe the valley floor south of the station. Log what you see in the blue log book. Normal observations include bison, elk, wolf activity, and weather changes. If you observe something that does not fit into a category you recognize, log it in the red log book instead. Use physical measurements and compass bearings. Do not speculate about what you are observing. Rule 3. Radio check schedule is 7 p.m., 9 p.m., 11 p.m., 1 a.m., 3 a.m., and 5 a.m. Call sign is Lamar Watch. State your call sign, the time, and the word clear. If it is not clear, state what you are observing instead of the word clear. If dispatch does not respond within 60 seconds, repeat on the backup channel. The backup channel number is written on the inside cover of the red logbook. Rule 4. The curtain at the back of the room conceals the north window. Do not open the curtain. Do not approach within 4 feet of the curtain. Do not place any item against it. If the curtain moves on its own, note the time and log it in the red book. Write the word moved, the time, and how far it moved. Do not touch it to stop it from moving. Rule 5. If you hear an animal sound outside the building between midnight and 5 a.m., do not attempt to identify it. Do not open the door or windows. Log the time, the duration, and a physical description of the sound in the red book. Do not use the word howl. Do not use the word scream. Use only the words long, short, high, low, near, and far to describe it, and nothing else. Rule 6. If you hear knocking on the south door between 11 p.m. and 5 a.m., do not respond. If the knocking follows a rhythmic pattern, count the beats and log them in the red book. Do not repeat the pattern back. Do not knock in return. If the knocking uses a pattern you recognize from daily life, such as a melody or a common rhythm, this is significant. Log it and radio dispatch immediately. Rule 7. There is a set of older protocols in the metal box in the storage shed. You do not have access to the storage shed during your shift. You will find references to these older protocols in the margins of some of the maps on the bookshelf. The marginalia were written by previous occupants. You may read them. If anything in the marginalia matches something you have observed during your current shift, do not act on those instructions. The older protocols have been superseded. Log the match and contact Hollowell. Rule 8. If the wood stove begins to produce smoke but no heat, open the south door for no more than 30 seconds to clear the air, then close and lock it. If the smoke is white, this is normal. If the smoke is gray, log it. If the smoke is any other color, radio dispatch immediately. State Lamar Watch smoke anomaly and follow their instructions. Rule 9. Between midnight and 4 a.m., the valley floor will be invisible due to darkness. Do not use the spotting scope to observe the valley during this period. If you hear movement outside that is louder than what a single large animal would produce, note the time and wait. Do not look out any window. If the movement continues for more than 8 minutes without stopping, initiate radio contact and state Lamar Watch requesting guidance. Rule 10. A visitor to the park will occasionally lose the trail after dark and approach the station. If someone knocks on the south door before 11 p.m., you may ask them to identify themselves through the door. Ask them where they entered the park and which trailhead they started from. If their answers are consistent with a person who could have reached this location by the route they describe, you may instruct them to sit against the east exterior wall and wait for Hollowell, who will be notified automatically. Do not invite them inside. Do not open the door to confirm their appearance. If their answers are not consistent with a possible route, tell them you are calling for assistance and radio Hollowell immediately. Rule 11. If a visitor knocks on the south door after 11 p.m., they are not a visitor. Do not respond. Hollowell came back inside while I was still on the last page. You reached Rule 11, he said. I did. You have a question about it? I do. He sat down across from me. His eyes were still moving, checking the windows even from inside the room. The trail closes at sundown, he said. Gates go down at the trailhead. Road barriers go across the vehicle route. There is no legitimate reason for a person to be at this location after 11 p.m. They could not have arrived here in the dark without knowing exactly where they were going. And if they knew exactly where they were going and came here in the dark, they are not someone you want to let in. I asked how often it happened. 3 times in the past 7 years that I know of, he said. I asked what happened each time. He was quiet for a moment. The first time, the night watch did not follow the protocol. They opened the door. They are fine. They came back the next morning, and they are a different person now in ways that are difficult to describe with precision. They still work for the park, a different posting. And the second time, I said, the second time the night watch followed the protocol. Whatever was outside left after about 40 minutes. And the third time, nothing came inside, he said. But by morning there were marks on the south exterior wall that we have not been able to explain. I have photographs. They are in the metal box in the storage shed. He stood up and told me to start the stove and do my first radio check at 7 p.m. He picked up his pack and left. The first 3 hours were ordinary in the way that remote places are ordinary after dark. The valley was quiet and large, and the stars were the kind you only see when you are genuinely far from any city. I did my exterior observations at 7:30 and at 9. The valley floor showed 3 bison about a quarter-mile south and what looked like coyotes moving along the east ridge. I logged them in the blue book. The 9 p.m. radio check was normal. Lamar Watch, 9 p.m. Clear. Copy Lamar Watch. At 9:47, the curtain moved. I was at the table writing in the blue book when I saw it shift. Not much, maybe 2 inches. Then it settled. I logged it. 9:47 p.m. Curtain moved approximately 2 inches. No wind or other apparent cause. Settled after approximately 4 seconds. I did not approach it. At 10:30, the exterior observation was more difficult. The valley was darker. The moon not yet high enough to throw useful light. I used the spotting scope. The bison had not moved. There was a shape on the east ridge that I could not categorize. Large, stationary. I estimated its height at approximately 12 feet above the valley floor, which is consistent with an elk standing on an elevated ledge, but the shape was not consistent with an elk. It was too wide and not tall enough. The proportions were wrong in a way I could not articulate. I logged it in the red book. 10:31 p.m. Shape observed on East Ridge, bearing approximately 70 degrees. Estimated height 12 feet above valley floor. Width approximately 6 feet. No movement observed, no identifiable features. I logged it as a feature as the protocols required. I watched it through the scope for 4 minutes. It did not move. I closed the door. The 11 p.m. check was fine. The 1 a.m. check was fine. Between them, I tried to read a field manual from the bookshelf and found myself rereading the same page 4 times. The station was quiet in a way that felt different from empty. It felt occupied. At 1:14 a.m., I heard the sound. It came from the north, behind the curtain, from the exterior wall of the building where the north window was. It was a low sound, long. It rose slowly over about 3 seconds and then fell over about 2 seconds and then stopped. I wrote in the red book, 1:14 a.m., sound from north exterior, long, low duration, approximately 5 seconds, rose, then fell. It happened again at 1:17. Same duration, same pattern. I sat at the desk and did not move toward the curtain. At 1:32, I heard something against the south exterior wall. Not a knock, not exactly a sound, a pressure, like something leaning its weight against the building from the outside. The wood settled slightly. I felt it through the floor under my feet. I wrote 1:32 a.m. Pressure against south exterior wall. I did not write a duration because I could not tell when it stopped. At 2:09 a.m., I heard the south door handle. Not a knock, not footsteps before it, just the handle. Someone testing it from the outside. Once. Slow. Careful. The way you test a door when you do not want whoever is inside to hear you testing it. I did not move from the desk. The handle moved again. Twice this time. Then nothing. I wrote, 2:09 a.m. South door handle tested from exterior. Twice. No sound before or after. The 3 a.m. radio check was the one I had been dreading. I had to speak out loud, and the room had been silent for so long that my voice felt like a disruption. I picked up the radio. I said Lamar Watch, 3 a.m., and then I did not say clear, because it was not clear. I said 1 sound event from north exterior, 1 pressure event from south exterior wall, 1 door handle test, all logged. Dispatch said, copy Lamar Watch, logged on our end, maintain position. I said, copy. The 5 a.m. check was just the word clear. Nothing had happened between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. except the shape on the east ridge disappearing at some point before 4. I noticed it was gone when I looked through the scope at 4:50. I logged it. Hollowell arrived at 6:50 a.m. He announced himself verbally through the door first, then gave the confirmation word, then I unlocked it. He looked at the red log without sitting down. He was quiet for a while. The north sound, he said. Yes. You stayed away from the curtain. I did. He nodded and set the red log down. The handle, he said. That is the first time in about 3 years. I asked what it was. He looked at me the same way he had looked at the tree line the day before. That constant, slow movement. The protocols do not require me to explain what it is, he said. They require you to follow the rules. The rules worked last night. I said I understood that. I was asking anyway. He picked up his pack. You were an auditor before this, he said. You know how to read a system. Yes. Then read the system, he said. What do the rules tell you about what is out there? I thought about it for a moment. They tell me it can mimic patterns, I said. Rhythms. Knocking. They tell me it tests doors. They tell me it comes from the north, from behind the window we do not open. They tell me it sounds like something alive. They tell me visitors should not know about it. That the rules here were written for the people who stay the night, not for the people who walk through during the day. Hollowell nodded slowly. The visitors get the rules that tell them where to walk and what not to feed, he said. The rules about not approaching wildlife, not leaving the trail, not making noise at dawn and dusk. Those rules are true, but they are also walls. You understand what I mean. I said I was starting to. The visitor rules keep visitors in the right places at the right times, he said. Which means whatever is out here is somewhere else when visitors are around. But you are not a visitor. You are staying. So you get different rules because you are going to see different things. He went outside and I heard his boots on the gravel path. Then he said, through the door, without coming back in. The thing that tested your handle at 2 this morning is the same reason we have the visitor rules. People just cannot know that. You understand why? I said I understood. He did not say anything else. I drove out on the vehicle route. It was light by then, gold and flat across the valley. The bison were in the same place from the night before, or they were different bison in the same spot. I could not tell. I have my second shift in 4 days. Hollowell said the shape on the east ridge is common this time of year. He said feature is the right word for it. He said do not try to find the wrong word for it. I wrote that down when I got back to my truck. I have been thinking about it since. Because the shape on the east ridge was 12 feet above the valley floor and 6 feet wide, and it didn't move for over an hour while I watched it through a scope in the dark. And the rules gave me a word for it. Feature. not what it is, just what I am allowed to call it. And I keep thinking about the visitors, about how they walk the trail in daylight and follow the signs and feed nothing, and stay on the path and go home, thinking they saw some bison and maybe a wolf at the tree line, which they did. That part is true. But the trail closes at sundown for a reason. The gates come down for a reason. The vehicle route is off limits after 3 p.m. for a reason. The rules the visitors follow are real. They protect people. I believe that. But the people who wrote them knew what else was out here. And they decided the visitors did not need to know. I think about that. I think about being in a parking lot somewhere reading a trail map with all the rules listed on it. Do not feed wildlife. Stay on the designated path. Do not approach geothermal features. Pack out what you pack in. Every one of those rules is true, and none of them are for what I watched in the dark last night. The visitors get the map. I get the binder, and I go back in 4 days.